All right. Hello and welcome to session 0 for Fight for Blight. So, this is a new campaign, obviously, that we're starting, with it being session 0. Be doing this on Monday nights around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, running to about 11. But real quick, just run through, I'll go in order and just introduce yourselves, anything that you'd like, things of that nature. So we'll start with at the beginning of what I have for the overlay. So let's go with Askin first.
Oh, why did it have to be me first? I have no idea where to start with this. I'm fairly new to D&D. I've been playing about a year with another group, but I'm still learning a lot of stuff. Yeah, it was a bad pick for first.
No, that's fine. Like we'll just go with like a hey, like I'm Askin. I've been playing D&D for X amount of time, and then we'll move down.
Well, there you go. I did it.
Perfect. Ant.
Yeah, so I've been playing D&D for about similar. I've had two groups in the past. I have one ongoing right now. We're playing the Waterdeep Dragon Heist module, and almost done with that. So I'd say intermediate. I got really into it from listening to podcast of D&D, which is probably nerdier than actually playing D&D. But
Nope.
hey,
I listen to
it's
tons of
fine.
podcasts from D&D.
I know it's when you can't find a group to play, you just listen to other people play. So it's great. So yeah, no, I'm super excited. It's gonna be fun.
Next on our list, we have Monkey Banker.
Hey everyone, I'm Monkey Banker, or Pia. I've been playing since my first time was February, and this is only my second campaign. The first campaign's still going, so yeah, I'm excited.
Next up, we have Bring the Ruckus.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I love RPGs. I can say I'm a fanatic, but when it comes to D&D, this will be my first time around. And I really just want to see the origin of things to see where all those RPGs kind of where they've come from. So I'm finally getting around to D&D.
Nice. Shot Dog.
Yep, fairly new to D&D as well. Been playing about a year. Like RPGs. I'm looking forward to this campaign.
And last but not least, Trevor.
So I've never played D&D before. Looking forward to learning it. Heard a lot about it. I don't know. Looking forward to having fun.
Well, personally, I think that you're going to enjoy it. One thing that, and it's not like a knock or anything, because I've played my fair share of modules now too. But when I was started playing, I only started playing in homebrew content, and what I liked about it is that you kind of can't look it up, and just like the aspect of, and I believe you said you were playing the Dragon Heist, which actually me and Askin played together on Sundays, which we had completed and then went into the Tomb of the Mad Mage afterwards. But with what was presented, if you could have just easily looked it up and figured out the ending, and then like it kind of ruins the aspect. But
I actually own the book, and I was looking for a DM to DM it for me. Or I actually, and I almost had a group, but it fell through. And so that DM ended up mailing the book back to me, and so I don't cheat. I've left it in the like it's still in the package. Like I never opened it because I know if I open it, I'm gonna be too tempted to like look up, see what we missed, and then spoil it for myself. So yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, modules are very easy to cheat.
yeah, I feel like you just have to like trust the players that you're with. I mean, with that in mind, it's like the same thing with monsters and whatnot as well. So
Yeah.
I did notice that you guys were saying about the character sheets in Roll20, which I am actually assigning to you all right at this moment. I had to wait till you joined, so I believe that everyone has now joined, and then we'll begin going through like the Roll20, everything that we need to kind of figure out as we get there, so that way we can learn as a group. Since, as most of you stated, being fairly new, most of you being fairly new have less experience on Roll20 than you do in your D&D career. So we'll take that one step at a time. But with all that in mind, I do have a couple of questions for each of you before we kind of get into the nitty-grittiness of the world of Elista, which is a homebrew world that me and my little brother both kind of created, worked on for a good while, and then started running what we called test campaigns, which helped us establish lore for the history and things like that, which you guys can all find out in game, and kind of just help develop and get better at DMing, things of that nature. But my first question for each of you, which might be a little hard for some of you that haven't really kind of got into too much of D&D, is what is your favorite thing to do in Dungeons and Dragons? And whoever would like to answer first, feel free. Like I said, I know it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you that haven't played, but
Yeah, I think for myself, it's like seeing where the quest ends up. Like I don't really mind like what goes on between, and like all of that is fun. I just really look forward to like, oh, where's this gonna end? How are we gonna get there?
so like the story process, the twists, turns, the clues that you find, what they all mean, and how it comes together.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think for me it's more the problem solving part of it. It's kind of like, sometimes it's in combat and you're trying to figure out like, okay, what's the weakness, or like what strategy do we need to be successful. But then sometimes it's like, how do you figure out this puzzle in a dungeon? Like like what steps do we need to take? Because theoretically there's always a solution to get around, whatever the big bad is doing. So it's the trying to guess, and it's like a game of chess almost. So I think that's my favorite thing.
Well, then I thoroughly think that you'll enjoy how I set up some of my fights, which we'll get into a little bit later as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I genuinely, when I came into this, thought that the like sort of the like mystery part of it, the like finding one clue or like one piece of a story that like leads to a next, was gonna be my favorite part, and I think it's still really up there. But I just really love doing battle, and I'm like really excited. So, anyways, my first campaign, I built my character all around that idea and like this very elaborate story that then didn't mesh with everyone else I was with. Um, so I'm really excited to like come at this at like very ready to see what happens and see what happens in our story.
To be honest, Askin, I think the only other one is you that this question actually applies to, with the experience that everyone else, or the other two, has said.
For me, a big part of D&D is like the communal storytelling, all these people coming together to live in this one imaginary place. And just, it's so much fun seeing how other people react to a situation that isn't necessarily real, and then they start to care about it. But then I also really love the fights.
Yeah.
Like when you get into the heat of the battle and it seems like all is lost, and then you remember that you can do this thing and you're like, oh my god, this is going to be amazing.
Man, I'm glad I held you for the last one, or to answer that last part, because it kind of segues perfectly into my next question. So, a next question for each of you, and I'll word it a little bit differently, so in this way, Ruckus and Trevor, you can kind of chime in on this one as well. What is your favorite, like, what is the one thing in D&D that you've always wanted to do, or that you want to do, but have never done? And what I'll say on the end of that is, what are you expecting out of playing this? More so that for Ruckus and Trevor being first time. What's up, Jingo? How you doing tonight, buddy?
I think for me it would be getting to middle to high level play. I think the campaign I'm in right now, I have a 4th level character, and that's the highest I've ever gone in D&D. So, getting that experience, because it's like it can get pretty nuts from what I've seen. When you get to those higher levels, and your PCs have so many different abilities, and the monsters are so crazy. Like the Beholder is like a classic monster in D&D, right? But like I've never been to that level where you theoretically, like, if your DM is giving me a Beholder to fight at level 4, then they're just evil. Like, I mean, that's like chaotic evil, right? Um, so it would be like I want to get to that higher level place, because there's some iconic things that like you just don't experience at those lower levels.
Yeah, so seeing just like literally like what you would see on like the front of the monster manual, and I mean literally like dragons being specifically in the name, right? So I
Right.
agree with that. That's one of the main things I always wanted to get into, which it always seems to be kind of like eluding, because by the time you get to that point, you've already actually been playing the campaign for almost a year. So a lot of things kind of fall apart at that point, but hopefully that's
Yes.
not what happens with this, because
Yeah.
it is going to actually, what you guys do here in the world will actually be a part of the history for the world of Elista. So if you fail your adventure that we're going to be getting into, then the rest of the world will reap those repercussions. And if you succeed, it'll be the same kind of aspect, and go from that. So things you guys do actually have an impact. So who wants to answer the question next? Something that you've always wanted to do and haven't done, or what you're looking to, or what you're expecting from the game.
Yeah, I think I'm looking for like or would want out of the game is more of some of that dungeon-esque stuff where there's a lot of puzzles to be solved, or like a riddle. I love puzzles. So I'm like, oh, give me those.
So I guess I can go next. So as a newcomer though, as I've said, I've played many RPGs before, but I'm looking forward to experiencing something that I just can't hack and slash my way out of. Instead of just being the hero now, I'm playing as a part of a team or as a squad. So it's more so, what role can I play right now, and what can we do to figure things out and think our ways out of certain scenarios, instead of just swinging weapons and throwing firebolts. So I'm looking forward to developing those bonds and that chemistry with my group, and working towards overcoming certain obstacles. So, and I think D&D will do that.
Yes, I think this is a very good game to get into for
Mm-hmm.
those expectations.
Right.
So I don't really know what to expect because, like he said, I too am new to the game, but I look forward to the excitement of not knowing what's to come. You know, like I don't know what they expect. I don't know how to do things. Like that kind of adds to the excitement for me.
That's true. You can't cheat if you don't know how to play.
That's okay. I'll figure it out.
Right.
Right, I'll figure out how to do it. I got this.
And you can't load though. You can't just load any saves. What you have is what you have.
Facts.
Yeah.
That's true. I believe we need to hear from Monkey and Askin then, right?
So for me, with this game, I'm just really looking forward to see what our story is. I mean, I'm no pro or anything, but I've done a little bit of the, mid-level stuff. So I've done a lot of fights and stuff. So the story is really what I'm looking forward to, along with the other things. But I've heard good things about your DMing.
Yeah, so I always strive to be mediocre or less, and then that way no one's ever disappointed.
I would say you
Incredibly average.
I think for me the biggest thing compared to the first campaign is I'm excited. I'm more excited to like go into battle and exploration now that I know the mechanics better than I was. I mean, I was excited before, but like I'm very excited about that. Now that I understand how like just playing, like role playing works and how things go a little bit better, I feel really excited to be able to do all those things that I want.
Nice. Well, with those questions answered, now I will begin to get into a little bit of actually what our story will be presenting for everyone for what I am estimating for maybe 8 months to 9 months of completion. I've had a couple of groups finish this quicker in the test runs, and I've also had a couple of groups go a lot longer. But been able to trim some of the fat and everything, kind of reworking it. Anyways, neither here or there. But one of the first things which you all have been made aware of is that you will be only able to choose one race for this campaign. That race being elves, and a high elf at that. And with that in mind, the reason for this prerequisite is that each of you will be a part of a royal family. The King of Blight, King Errol Grimhearth, is your father. And with that little bit of information thus far in mind, there are a couple of things that I will need each of you to discuss amongst yourselves. Whoever would like to take the lead, feel free. And just try to hash it out, I guess, the best we can. But with each of you being a part of the royal family, all brothers and sisters, if you choose to play a female and it's not just all boys, or just all sisters if everyone wants to be a female. I don't care. Whatever you guys want to do, that's all up to you for that part. But one of you does have to be the heir to the throne. So, being the heir, you do get a little bit of benefits with this, but you also get a bit of drawbacks as well. But whoever is the heir to the throne will need to be the oldest out of the age. So when kind of getting down to that little detail part of your characters, being elves, you have a huge numbers to choose from, which makes it a little bit nicer, but whoever is the heir to the throne will be the oldest. So that is the first thing that we will get taken care of right now. Who would like to either step up and be the heir to the throne, the next ruler of Blight in the country of Zidane? Or will we end up doing a voting process? Those are pretty much the two ways I've seen it hashed out.
I have a suggestion, just because for the shits and giggles of it. But if everybody just goes ahead and puts in their character age, and then we all state how old we are, and that's how we decide who is the eldest.
That's one way to do it.
I'm glad you said that because I was just gonna bite the bullet and take it.
Oh,
I
Only
don't wanna
because
take
I'm obviously older than all y'all.
I don't know about all that.
I will allow you being it because I didn't want to be it, but I thought that was fair way to do it.
I mean, I don't either, but I feel like I'm older than everybody.
How old are you?
31.
Ah, I'm older than you.
Oh, well, there you
There
go.
you go.
Oh.
Who's asking?
But I don't necessarily
Well
want to be
played.
the oldest. I just am.
I don't want to be the oldest, only because the character concept I'm working on isn't the oldest. But I mean, I don't know. I can always be flexible if I need to. But
I mean,
Type
we could
those
always just do a
ages.
roll off to see who's the oldest
Well, I mean, just saying,
and leave it up to
It-
luck.
one of you had already kind of voted for like offering, so if no one else really seems like they wanted to be, then I think we found our heir to the throne.
Trev it is.
King Trizzy.
Dang, I really talked myself into this one.
Yes, you did, King.
T-Pain,
Works for me.
T-Pain,
Or Prince.
long may he reign.
To be fair, I didn't know anybody was older than me though. So
It's
I
all
think we
right.
should write our ages.
Too late now.
Too late.
Hey, you
I already
shut up.
wrote it down. It's too late now.
Dang it.
There's no way to edit on Word docs and stuff. Okay, well, I mean, that was a lot easier getting it hashed out than I guess I expected.
Do you think everybody was going to want to be the oldest?
No, usually nobody wants to be.
Hmm.
I haven't. I've run this campaign actually 4 times, and I've only had one person, which was right now, say that they would do it. All right. Well, I do have a little bit of a twist for each of you already. So, with
Uh-oh.
what you guys have picked so far, of course, every family has a black sheep or an outcast. With this in mind, if one of you would like to play that role, you do have the ability of choosing the half-elf race. Now, just as the heir to the throne has their rewards and repercussions, so does the outcast of the family. But it is an optional thing. You do not have to fill this role. It's just something that you kind of get with it.
Huh. It's kind of fun.
So, well, I'll leave that for what it is for now.
Can we all be outcast and just have the heir?
No, only one of you can be the
Wow.
outcast.
Wow.
The king got
Thanks,
really
man.
busy with a lot of humans.
See, I thought about being a bastard before, so I'm thinking about jumping on this, but I had my mind geared towards straight high elf, so. But maybe me, possibly.
So I'll leave that one just blank for now, and maybe that can be something that we kind of touch base back on when we get more into character creation, which is pretty much right around the corner. I just have a couple more things to inform each of you of before we roll for stats or whatever you guys decide on doing that, point by, etc., and start getting into character creation. So, in the country of Zidane, where this campaign will be taking place, each of you being on Roll20 right now can see... Wait, I think we're missing one. Who are we missing? We're missing Justin's. Right? Yeah.
Oh,
We're missing you on Roll20, Ruckus. And this way you can see the map that we're going to be playing on.
all right.
So, as you'll all see once Ruckus is loaded in, the entire map of the country of Zidane is covered in snow. It is... Well, when I created this, I guess the best way to describe it, if anyone is slightly familiar with it, it's kind of like Icewind Dale, but I didn't really know Icewind Dale was the thing. I didn't know the Winter of the Frostmaiden was going to be a campaign, but that's actually a good way to kind of describe this. Everything here is snow. It's basically winter all year long. It's actually the coldest place in the whole world of Elista. And with that in mind, there is some weather to be wary of. While being the royal family, each of you would know the days that it's going to be good for travel, bad for travel, or even deadly for travel. So, for an example, you have calm, windy, and sunny days, which are all days that can be used for travel, which, of course, we'll get more and more into because it's going to be hard to remember that off rip and kind of go with that. But there's also 2 days that are very detrimental and could prove to equal your death. Those are the days where there are blizzards and ice storms. So, again, from being the royal family, each of you would have a little bit more information from all this. You would know that blizzards can happen within a brief moment, and you have a couple of hours of time basically to kind of create a shelter, find some shelter, and get out of this weather before you find yourselves to be left for possibly dead. The ice storms are much more deadly. However, the ice storms here have a very big tell about it. You will know that these are coming at least a half a day ahead of time. But with that in mind, if you do decide to press your luck, perhaps you're just outside of a city thinking that you can make your way into the city to find even better shelter. If the ice storm strikes, you only will have roughly 30 minutes to get out of this, or find yourselves, mechanically speaking, beginning to take points of exhaustion. Of course, the more exhaustion points you do lead to death. And hopefully it doesn't come to that. But it has happened, so keep it in mind. Now, while traveling through the country of Zidane, you will have different distances that you can accomplish, 25 miles being the max that you can actually walk through the roads. But as you can see, some of the roads do not connect to some of the cities. If you go through the snow, that will be a little bit more of a difficult terrain, taking it a bit longer for you to get to your destination. And the last thing that I need to tell you before we get into rolling stats is being a part of the royal family in the city of Blight. The resources here are virtually unlimited. You can access the family treasury, you can access the city coffers, and other things of that nature in order to obtain gold or perhaps wares and things of that nature. And with that in mind, everyone's starting equipment will be free, and it will not take any of your starting gold. And that is the last major thing I needed to go over before I open it up to back to you guys, and how you would like to roll for stats. Or I don't want to say roll for stats, but take care of that aspect.
Rolling for stats is really fun and introduces this kind of like chaotic element. But it always feels really bad if you're that player that rolled crap stats, or like everyone else rolled really well and you're like rolled nothing but twos times.
Hold on, I'm actually very sorry. I forgot a very, very important detail. I've given you guys the handout on this, and I hope everyone kind of took a little bit of time to read over it. Most D&D games for our newer players, each night is a long rest. So after your day of going through your adventure and then getting sleep that night, you would wake up at full health, full spells, all that kind of stuff. I actually implement the gritty realism variant rule, which means every night that you go to sleep is actually a short rest. A week of downtime spending time in one location without travel, more than likely in a city, you will need a week of rest to obtain a long rest. So I wanted to just bring that up one more time before going any farther. I know that I had given everyone that information previously, and for those who haven't really played before, it's probably not going to make that much of a difference because you won't really know any other way. But with that in mind, it does make like the spells that you may use, healing, casting like a magic missile if you're a wizard, and things of that nature, much, much more valuable. So, sorry, but to interrupt, but I did want to make sure I went back over that one more time, so that way everyone is on the same page and we're good.
Did we get half of that week time since we're all elves?
Oh,
No, unfortunately not. What you do get is the capability of obtaining like the short rest in the night within like, so you need like the 4 hours to like do your trance, but you still need like the full 4 hours to like get your short rest in. But since you don't have to sleep, for an example, if you guys wanted to work on creating your own personal weapon, let's say, you do have extra time to do so because you're 4 hours awake and you can kind of just hang out and twiddle your thumbs.
cool.
And please, if there's ever any questions, like when we're going through this, like this is what we're doing this for right now. So it would be the best time to ask. I'm trying to look up in the player's handbook right now all of the ways that they have available for basically rolling your character. Because there are multiple ways. You can basically roll, you can do like a point buy system, things of that nature. So for determining your scores, you can roll 3d6, 4d6 for an example. As another example, I've even given groups the option before of rolling 4d6, keep the highest 3, re-rolling the ones. You can also do a point buy. You can also take standard array, which meh with that one.
Is it important that we all do the same? We all like do our scores the same way?
As long as it's something that's in like the book or like, you know, like I said, kind of get like the okay, then other than that, I don't really care. If a couple of you want to do point buys, so then that way, like, because I know for some people, for an example, they don't like having a character with like a shitty stat because then it kind of excludes them possibly from other points in the game. Kind of, I guess, like that be how they look at it. I look at it as awesome. My character can't read. Perfect. Like,
Yeah, that's always fun.
but again, that's why I'm leaving it as like up to you guys, because the first and foremost thing is that we're doing this to have fun. Will be a stickler on other things here and there, but definitely a little bit more lenient with the experience of this group.
Yeah, I did point buy for mine just to like, you know, get an idea and like start getting my brain cells firing in that direction. But I'm super down to roll. That sounds fun, and it'd give all of our characters like a strong personality, if you will.
Yeah,
I'm a
the
gambler. I
46.
prefer rolls.
Yeah, the 46 and getting to reroll the ones, that's pretty generous and probably prevents someone from rolling all 6 attributes really poorly, I would hope.
I've done this and I've still gotten like a 7 and an 8 on my character.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, if there's 2 stats that are like become dump stats because that's all you roll, I mean, yeah, I'm more mean like when all 6 are like below a 10. It's real sad.
So that formula I just posted in the Discord chat under the Blight story. If you copy and paste the whole thing, it'll. Oh, excuse me, just burped. Apologies. It'll roll all 6 of your stats. But it won't re-roll the ones for you, so you'll have to like hover over it. So if that's how you want to do it, I posted the formula for you, and it'll make it a hell of a lot easier.
Where do we paste said formula?
You'll just paste it right into the chat window. So now we'll take a little bit of time going over the Roll20 thing. So up in the top right, you'll see that there's a couple of chat bubbles. This is where all your rolls and things will appear, conversations between players if there's like RP going on and 2 players are trying to plan something out, things of that nature. Down below, you'll see the chat thing, and then what I'll do is for me, I will give like an example and just roll that, and then that when I posted the formula, that's how it kind of came out for me. I actually only rolled 1 and all that, which was on the 7, so I would just end up like re-rolling that 1, see how I did, but I actually got pretty shitty stats overall. But nonetheless, this is your basic window. Down on the bottom, you'll see where it says as and your name, and that's how you know which sheet you're rolling under in case you have a NPC that you hired and are in control of, and something of that nature, if it's anything like that. Next to the chat bubbles, I don't think that you'll actually have this. Nope, you won't. So the next one that you'll have is, it looks like a newspaper, which is your journal. So if you click on that, underneath where it says characters, if you open that up all the way, you should be able to see at least one random named character that you can select and open it up. And then what you will do when doing that is hit edit sheet directly, and we'll go from there. A lot of this will end up kind of being transferred over to D&D Beyond when we make that process, but this again will give you all a good idea of how to like add the stuff that you need to add. The next one is the compendium, which we won't worry about that for now, and then the cogwheel. So the cogwheel is like your settings. If you want to have 3D dice rolled out on Roll20, you can enable that, change your name, what it displays, things of that nature. And that's your basic rundown of Roll20.
Nice.
And again, keep in mind that the first few sessions, as I was saying earlier, will be a like tutorial style. So that's when we'll be going through, making sure everything's the way it needs to be, and going from there.
Is anybody else going to roll stats?
Yes, you guys figure that out real quick.
I'm
I am
definitely
going
gonna
to turn off my lizard's heat lamps real quick. So I'll be right back in just 1 second.
Oh,
Oh, mine are like so bad. Make it so real.
Ooh, that's a lot of dice.
Yeah, I think the 3D dice is new since the last time I was on here.
No, it's not, but I'm just showing you all like everything with it instead of. You can do this on Saturday too if you want.
I feel so betrayed that I was never told that I could have 3D dice rolled onto the map. I will never forgive you for that.
So everyone decided to do the 4d6, keep the highest 3. That's what it looks like. That's how I'm taking it. So because we have to kind of do this in order, so in this way it doesn't get too mixed up. Trevor, you rolled yours first. Your first stat, the dice roll was a 2, 2, 5, and a 3, so you're good there. then if you hover over it with your mouse, you can see what it rolled for you. The next one is a
Oh,
15. It says that you rolled a 6, 3, a 5, and a 4. That's actually pretty good. The next one is a 6, 3, 1, and a 5. So what I'm going to need you to do for this one that's a 14 is in that little chat window where you posted that formula. If you type /r space 1d6, and then that'll roll a d6 for you. A 3. Okay, so it's better than a 1, but it's also still the same as the other 3, so your stat's still a 14. Do it one more time for the next one, because you had a 1, 2, 5, and a 4. And also, if you need to get back to your previous roll quicker, when it's in the chat window, if you press the up arrow, it'll pull up your previous formula. If you press it again, it'll go to the next one, and then so forth. So on and so forth.
Okay, so what am I putting?
You're going to
Black
roll.
R1d6 again?
Yep.
Oh,
You can do it again. Oh, there you
Sweet.
go, a 6. So that 6 will replace the 1 that you had in your previous. So your highest ones are a 6, 5, and a 4, which I believe is a 15. So at the moment, you have a 10, 15, 14, 15. The next one's okay, and I need another d6 from you on the next one. Okay, a 2's not that great, and your score will remain the same. So your 6 scores are a 10, 15, 14, 15, 16, and 9. So those are your ability scores. Those will go in your character sheet. I'm going to open up yours and try to help you as much as possible. I am going to have to figure out which one's actually yours, because all of these obviously have random names.
it's the one that says Canius.
Perfect. All right. So I'm just going to move this over to the next window. So you see where on your character sheet over on like the left side it has like the it says like the big numbers is 0, and then it says 10 under like where
Yeah.
it says strength. So you'll be replacing those 10s with those scores that you got. You can place them in any stat that you would like. One thing to keep in mind is obviously some stats are better for other classes, things of that nature. So what I would do for the moment is just write down your stats and then rearrange them once you figure out what class you want to play, because you also get bonuses from your race and things of that nature.
All right.
So next we'll take care of Anthony. Anthony, you have 1 1 in the first one, 1 in the 13, and that is it. So you don't get that many re-rolls, but you get a couple. Hopefully be able to improve that 8.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
Well, that's definitely better. So that is what? An 11? That's what I'm getting. The next one's okay, so that's an 11 and a 10. Re-roll another one for me. And
I don't think that helps.
I don't think it did either. No, it does not. So that is your scores. The other ones were all good. You just rolled really low in a bunch of 2s.
Yeah, that's how it normally works, but it's fine.
That's
It'll be
usually
fine.
how it works for me too, man. Erie, you rolled really well. You actually only have 1 re-roll, and it's on a 14. So you can't really do worse. But
I can do better.
You can do better.
All right.
Okay, so that turns the 14 into a 16 for you. So your stats are 14, 15, 16, 14, 12, and 11. Moving on down
Not
the
too
list
shabby.
to Monkey. Well, Monkey, you have a lot of re-rolls coming your way. So the first one, I need you to roll the 2d6s.
You have to step away and put silence down.
Okay, well, then we'll move on to you. So you have your... you have one in the first one in the second, third, fourth, and the sixth. So you have a lot of re-rolls too there, bud. Go ahead, Shot Dog. Okay, so the 4 changes that to a 14, so that's a little bit better. Give me another one. 2 may not be much of an increase for you. No, it's not, so that stat will remain the same. Go ahead and roll your next one. There you go. That's a good reroll. That will bring you up to a 14. Go ahead and roll your next one. That should bring you up as well. Which one are we on? We're on the 4th one, right? Yeah. So that was a 5, 5, and a 4, so that's 14 as well. And the next one was okay, and then roll your last one for me. Roll it again. Hey! Good rolls, my friend. All right. So that last stat actually turns into a 13 for you. So those should be your new stats, the 14, 12, 14, 14, 11, and the 13. Next up, we have Ruckus. So your first one's good. Your second one's good. You rolled really good, Ruckus. You almost have a max stat. You rolled 2 6s and a 5. That is awesome.
Yeah.
You get 1 reroll, which is on your lowest stat, which is a 7.
The 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, now how I reroll again? I'm sorry.
/R.
I
No, it's
missed that
fine.
part.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
All this like
Yeah, what
3-week
is it?
tutorial
/R?
/R 1d6.
1d6. Oh, okay, gotcha.
And now that that's explained, over on the left side of the window, you'll see that there's like an arrow. There's a little paintbrush, a magnifying glass, a ruler, and then a little
Okay.
dice.
Yep.
So if you select that dice and then you see where it says like just the D6, if you click that, that'll work as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you click the numbers, then
Okay.
obviously that's more D6.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
Cool. So,
Damn it.
the-
Disregard the second one.
unfortunately, I don't think it changes.
Oh, that third one. Oh, okay.
So you will, I mean, again, you still have really good stats. You have one, what like Ant was saying earlier, like a dump stat, which is basically like a stat that's like not that great. But
Right.
you have a 17 and a 16, which I normally don't start with characters that are that high. So
Yeah.
it's pretty good stats. Last we have Pia's. Miss Monkey when she's back.
I'll make sure she rolls that when she gets back.
All right. But again, for now, since everyone has like their base stats of like kind of what they can work with, all classes are open. There's no prerequisites on that. But do not add, I would say don't add your racial bonuses yet until you get your points set where you want them to be set, and then add the rest of it later. But with that in mind, since you guys have your stats now, or at least an idea of what your stats can be, now would be the time where you're going to definitely discuss what classes, things like that you kind of had in mind for your character.
Sorry, y'all, I'm back. I'm ready to roll my 1d6s. I rolled a lot of ones, I noticed before.
Oh, yeah, you did. So you have a lot of D6s to re-roll, and then once you get your stats done, then we'll go to that character classing and stuff. So the first one, you have 2 to re-roll. So can you roll me like 2d6?
Yeah. It's marginally better.
Okay, so that's a 4 and a 2. I got a long way to go back up. So that is a little bit better. That will be an 11. Next one, you have 1d6. So can you re-roll the 1d6 for me?
Sure, King.
All right, and then go ahead and do one more for me. Okay. So I got a long ways to scroll back up now. So the first one was a 5, which that one will turn into a 14. With the...
We're looking at the first 12.
Yeah, the first 12. And then the second one is a 2, so then that stat will remain the same. Because the 1 would be replacing the 2, keeping the highest 3 would still be a 4, the 4, 6, and 2.
Got it.
Your
So
next one is
when
okay.
Mhm.
For the 11, I need you to re-roll 1 and then 1 more for the 13.
So sorry, I have 11 for the 8, 14 for the 12. The second 12, what did that come out to be?
I'm typing them down for you, but I have in order an 11, 14, an 11, 14, 12, and 15 so far.
Awesome. Okay. And then you said how many d6s?
2 more, 1 for each of your last ones.
Okay. But separate?
Yeah, I mean, you can roll them separate or do the 2d6. Again, it doesn't... Whatever's easier. 4 is a good one.
I'm going to roll them separate for the drama.
And drum roll. Ooh, the 6. So both will definitely go up. So a 4 for the first one turns that an 11 into a 16. That is 4 4s. And then a 6 on the last one will turn that 13 into a 15. So those are your stats. Again, they're not in like a particular order, but those are your 6 ability scores.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
All right. Well, now each of you have at least an idea of where your stats can go, what they can be, all that good stuff for like your strength, whatnot. So go ahead, discuss characters, ideas, what you guys had in mind. I know at least some of your ideas, and if you guys have any particular questions, I'm right here. So just let me know.
So I'm leaning towards playing a fighter. That's where my head's at.
No, I actually didn't expect that you would play that class.
Well, I wanted to play something that I wouldn't normally play.
Well, then that would definitely be something that you haven't played since I played with you.
Yeah, my goal with this character was to sort of keep it kind of simple. Since I played a druid last time, it was awesome, but also maybe not the simplest character to role play. It was a little bit complicated story-wise, so my heart's pretty set on being a ranger, but I really wanted to just be kind of a more simple fighter character.
Now, keep in mind, there's plenty of different ways to play a ranger. You can pick, like, the ranger class, which isn't that great, but it's okay. Some people like it, I'm sure. It's not really my style. Or you can play, like, a fighter and go into the archery, like, subclass, which may be a little bit better. And then there's various other ways that you can make a really badass ranger character that only uses bows, and you're not even a fighter. So there are plenty of ways that you can do it. If you want to keep it simple, definitely being a fighter with a bow.
Yeah, that's what I'm into. I mean, I'd be open to being like a different class than a ranger. If some, I don't know if that matters. But yeah, I wanted to sort of keep my characters like fighting more simple for me.
What about the two newer ones? I will be able to help you guys kind of like set your stats depending on like the classes that you had in mind. But with
Okay.
not having like a lot of experience in the game, I think the best way to kind of go about it is what's your favorite way to play? Like, do you want a literal book and going through and like reading a whole bunch of stuff? Like, well, a wizard's your style. Well, do you just want to hack and slash and tear through the enemy and not really worry about that much of mechanically for the game? Well, then a fighter probably be more up your alley.
But what if we're halfway in between the two?
Well, there's
I was looking at monk though. The
monk
monk
is fun.
class.
But if
Yeah.
like for an example, if you're looking for something in between the two, an eldritch
Right.
knight is always a decent choice. It's not like the
Yeah,
best,
okay.
but there's also aspects in the game called multi-classing. So, for an example,
Okay.
you could go like 3 levels into being a fighter and then take like 1 level in being a wizard, and then learn
Right.
the
Make
stuff
a
that like a
fighter.
level 1 wizard would know.
Okay. Jeez.
Yes,
Now
I
it makes me
agree.
want to read all the more.
The
Like, oh,
UA
geez.
Ranger rewrite is a shitload better than the player's handbook Ranger.
Right.
Sorry, I was actually holding down push talk. I was just talking to my stream.
Oop.
Sorry, guys. For you, that made no sense.
So wait, do we have like a set list of classes somewhere? Because I know there's different lists, right?
Oh yeah, there are a ton.
Like a ton of different lists of like possible classes. So I'm not sure which one we're using.
Well, all the books are available, but since you don't really have that luxury, I'm gonna
Right.
give you this. And
Okay.
this gives you like a good idea of like everything that's kind of available. If you click that link up on the top, there's a literal thing that says classes, and then
Okay.
it'll up in like the top left. It'll have like everything: artificer, barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, fighter, monk.
Mhm.
Paladins are fun. Like
Okay.
if you want to, that's a good mediocre actually. I always forget that a paladin's a thing because it's like usually people say like you have to have really good stats to be a good paladin. Well, you rolled pretty good stats, so you probably make a pretty good
Mhm.
paladin.
Okay.
And then not to mention there's like tons of subclasses to kind of go from there. So that'll help each of you if you don't have the books be able to find things that are so it'll give you an idea at least. So like just like what I did for our Tuesday game is that
Because
like
I know
as
at
long as
one
I can
time I wanted
remember
to
it,
be
we're good.
like a swashbuckler. I think that was more like a roguish type class.
That is, yes.
Right. Now that was interesting to me, but I'm not sure if that will be on this list.
What it would be is under
It's
like
like a subclass.
you would hit like the rogue, and then underneath the rogue
Okay.
like you'd scroll down a little bit, and I believe
Hmm.
you get to choose it at level 2. Not sure. I haven't really like played a rogue that much.
Right.
I think it's level 3. You pick your subclass into swashbuckler.
Yep, your archetype. So then
Yeah,
you
that's how it works with the fighter, if I'm not mistaken, as well. You're just a
Mhm.
fighter till level 3, then you choose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with the archetypes.
Yep. But I mean, those
Okay.
rogues. The one time I've played it, I had a shitload of fun with it. And if you like seeing a lot of
Right.
damage come up on like a dice roll, like if that's kind of your style, then
Mm-hmm.
a rogue's a good one to
Right.
play.
Rogues get to roll a lot of dice.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm usually the DPS type person, so that's what got my attention.
Yeah. I mean, out of like what you said so far, like the rogue and the monk, if like you're looking for like a
Mm-hmm.
DPS more thing, I would think that the rogue, but I also like having like 4 or 5 attacks in a turn. So like with the monk, you can like hit him once, then you can like fury of
String
blows,
it
and then
together.
start punching him a shitload and roll damage dice on
Right.
that
Right.
too. But I mean, I'm pretty sure
Okay.
you're still gonna always do more damage as a rogue, especially if you go like assassinate or assassin.
Yeah. Mhm.
What about the? I know what Shot Dog normally plays. I'm guessing I know he said he's gonna play something different, so I'm kind of curious of what your idea was.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna play a cleric this game.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did tell me. Now that you said it, I just remembered.
So different
That is different.
from just knowing him as a person. That's what's funny. I haven't played D&D with him yet, but cleric.
I guess like the same question that I asked Ruckus can go for you there, Trevor. What kind of like style or class do you normally play in like other games that you find enjoyable?
So normally I'm a ranger because I'm a shooting type.
If you, I mean, you can always have multiple of the same class in the same party. There's never anything wrong with that. So if you did want to do like the same kind of thing that Pia is doing, which I do kind of also recommend for newer players, keeping it more like the simple to learn the mechanics and then kind of going from there, versus trying to like order the quadruple cheeseburger when you've never been to the restaurant before.
Right.
But like if you did want to change it up, something else that's I would say is at least simple, maybe not as simple as like a fighter, would be like a warlock. And then you just Eldritch Blast everything. So you're like a ranger with finger guns.
And laser
Hey.
beams.
Yeah, well, the finger guns shoot the laser beams.
um,
Kyle, do you allow artificers with guns?
So I do allow artificers, but unfortunately,
what was the
they're
question again?
artificer. It's a class, but there is no gunpowder, and
Oh,
things of that nature. So, for like the ranger, like
I was just trying to.
you will be using like bows. You won't have like a sniper rifle or something.
I was just trying to throw out other ranged options that might be out there. But okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no, bro. I mean, with the question of the artificer being kind of brought up, one thing I will also kind of say, because it kind of ties in with the artificer, which you might kind of understand a little bit more, uh, is that magic items in this world are rare, to say the least. You do have the capability of getting what I consider better crafted items, which in the standard D&D sense are magic items, like your +1/+1 longsword, +1/+1 bow, things of that nature. But I don't believe, but I don't list them in my world as magic items. I could just consider them better crafted. So with that in mind, if you were to like hire an expert blacksmith to make you a longsword, in theory, it could come out as a +3/+3 longsword. It could also still come out as a basic one. It just depends on how the rolls go. If you do it yourself, then it would depend on how your rolls go. but that was a good question. But back to kind of like what we were saying a little bit before that, if like again, if you did want to play like a ranger, Trevor, and just do the same thing, go for it. With the aspect of like there are very limited magic items and things of that nature. It's not like you guys are like competing it for gear in like the sense of that. So like it's not like you're stepping on each other's toes when you do it. In fact, it actually might not be a bad idea because you also have to recover your arrows, things of that nature as well. So
All right, sounds good.
Looks like we'll be twins yet again.
I was gonna say, with that in mind, can you please make your two like characters twins? That would be kind of dope.
Every time we play Fortnite, like with Trevor, it makes me and Trevor the same skin.
But Trevor's obviously the oldest twin, right? Since he's the heir apparent.
All I know is that
He's
I'm gonna
5 minutes older.
Oh my gosh, that would automatic. If you guys did decide to be twins, that would make you automatically, Pia, the second oldest.
No.
Perfect.
Hell yeah.
No.
Yes, you're doing that.
I don't want that. My character already has an age. She's 223 years
It's too
old.
late. You gotta commit to being a twin.
You're already up. Only
Fine.
175, so.
You don't have to.
Okay,
I'm
but I'm
just
not
messing with you. You do what you
Nah,
want to
it'd
do.
be kinda
I
cool.
just thought that was a funny and cool idea.
I definitely do want to be a lady, though.
But you could easily, like, look up to Trevor's character as kind of like your mentor, and that's why you use like a bow just as like other ideas. It's easily workable
my
for
twin is the heir, but I'm not the heir. I don't think I would look up to them.
Oh no, I'm just saying if you didn't want to be the twin, like I was just giving you other ideas.
Yeah. Like that could totally be cute. Like I'm the younger sibling who Trevor has taken under his or her wing.
Pia, are you wanting to be a ranged ranger too?
Oh, what?
Because I know they can. Or are you wanting to like have a bow and stuff, or are you wanting to be more frontline? I know rangers can kind of be.
Yeah, I was really looking to be sort of like the hunter archetype. I know that that's down the road, but I was looking for my ranger to really like be a hunter. I always like to pick okay, this is so nerdy, so like everyone just bear with me for 2 seconds, but I like to pick like a book character inspiration. And I recently reread Interview with a Vampire, which still, holds up. But my inspiration is from the sequel, which is like the Vampire Lestat. And he's like, yeah, anyways. So I have some pretty specific ideas. I don't mind being the heir, but I definitely want to be sort of like someone who likes to spend more time out hunting and like filling the larder than necessarily someone who's just like not the best with like words and relationships.
I will also point out for you all that being a ranger is actually a little bit more beneficial in this than it is in like standard campaigns, and just for the fact that you get to choose your favorite environment style, and since you guys are in one environment, that makes it significantly easier.
I swear I didn't know that when I, decided to be a ranger, but wooey.
I mean, I know that like you're kind of looking at like a newer class, so I'll help point out things here and there that I feel are good for everyone to know.
I'm I'm really feeling the monk. I know the rogue has more DPS, but I think I'm gonna go the monk route. Switch it up a little bit. And I plan to specialize in the drunken monk style.
That's fun.
I fully support you in this.
Oh my gosh. Like, it looks so interesting to me.
And you could be like, like you're one of the middle brothers or whatever. So like,
Right.
you're just like the rich kid that gets drunk all the time. Like, like.
I want to be rebellious, like something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. But at the same time, have my own sense of discipline. Drunken monk.
So for now, just so everyone's aware, getting like your once you get like your class and everything in order,
Right.
you'll put like your stats kind of like where you want them to be. I'll help you, Ruckus and Trevor, if you need like stat placement, and then anyone else, obviously, if they need it as well.
Mhm.
But that again determined off of like the class, which will probably help a little bit better.
Mhm.
But I think that leaves Ant. What was your character idea?
Oh yeah. I think you kind of touched on it already, but I was going to take a first level dip in fighter, and then multi-class into wizard. I really like playing like Gish kind of characters, so like spell swords kind of. But I roll pretty mediocre stats, so I'm trying to. I might go back to the drawing board. But I like the idea of going into a blade singer subclass for wizard. It's got a lot of like elven flavor to it. It used to be restricted to only elves and half elves,
That is
but
a fun
Tasha's just
class.
opened it up.
Or that is
Yeah,
like a
I
subclass.
mean, yes, yeah. So, I thought it would be good flavor. I was kind of thinking if I was one of the younger siblings, I probably have like I've my thought process was like maybe blade singing is something that normally the royalty aren't taught, but I've kind of forsaken my claim to the throne. So I wanted to be like super tatted up and like kind of ruthless, and just like my only goal is protecting the heir and the king. I always play like really nice characters, so I wanted to play somebody that was like not afraid to like if somebody stepped to the king or the heir the wrong way, I would just like have my sword at his throat kind of thing.
Okay, so maybe
like
like a little bit
stupidly
more
overly
edgy.
aggressive.
More,
Yeah.
yeah, more
Yeah.
edgy
Well,
than like good.
hopefully not too edgy. Hopefully not too edgy. But just like a little, like he thinks very highly of himself, but in reality, like, which the stats kind of help because obviously he's not. Like, I mean, wizards are pretty squishy. But I felt like a one level fighter dip made sense because probably that's where he would have started with some martial training. I think it makes more sense than going straight wizard because it wouldn't think like with the way the character would develop, you'd have some martial training first and then kind of from the magic side. But I'll probably still go that way and just. I feel like we probably could use some arcane spells and stuff, considering we're a pretty martial party so far.
Yeah, like if this was broken down into the aspect of like only like creatures that can only be hurt from magic damage, which I will say is a thing in D&D, just so everyone knows.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have a rough time with it, to say the least. But there's certain things like obviously you can do at higher levels that make that a little bit easier. That's something you don't really have to worry about till like mid and late game for the most part.
I had a question. It's about a feature, not so much as like a stat.
Sure.
So the ranger has the favored enemy feature, and I wanted to do beasts, and that says beasts most are unintelligent and lack any society or language. Because the favored enemy, you get to like also learn a language of your choice that is spoken by a favored enemy. So yeah.
Okay. Well, since you pointed that out, that actually did kind of touch base with one style of thing. One of the most abundant amount of creatures in Zidane are gnolls. You would know of there being a decent population of the gnolls within like the forest. The main forest being the Barra forest on the south and the White Thorn forest up to the north. Now there are trees and things scattered around the Stokelet Mountains, which are in the center of the map, and things of that nature as well. But gnolls will definitely be of a higher abundance in this, which I, again, would feel that that is something that you would know from being born and raised here.
Yeah, and sorry, what's a gnoll?
I'm glad that you asked. They're a humanoid creature. They're normally kind of like a dog-like style. They're not very smart for the most part, and I mean they're a fairly common enemy in just like the D&D world in general. But it is like under like the humanoid kind of thing that you would pick for your favorite enemy.
Got it. I mean, I feel like this is for an advantage, like studying, tracking, hunting. I don't know what to do. I still feel kind of strongly about doing beasts.
What did you name your character? Varric or Varric?
That's mine.
Yeah. I was just looking at your character sheet. It looks like you kind of like started figuring it out a little bit. You figured out how to like add your class and things of that nature.
Yeah, it completely disappeared. Like I was trying to edit it somewhere and it's not showing up on my screen anymore.
Oh, that's because I was toggling with it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I was just like kind of impressed. I was like, wow, he's like filling out spells and stuff, and I figured like I was gonna have to go over that with everybody. I was just waiting to get there, but yeah, props.
I guess I have. What other kinds of humanoids are live in Zidane?
Mainly elves. The northern side of Zidane is a primarily wood elf population, while the high elves kind of stay near Blight in the southern areas in Direfrost, Genesis, Belkarth, and Baragama. The Exarch's stronghold is less of a city and more of what the name entails, a stronghold, like a small fort area. But for pretty much everywhere south of the Stokelet Mountains will be a high elf population, and the northern is a wood elf. Now, you will run into other races here and there, but those are going to be the two primary in each of the cities. You'll run into half-elves here and there, of course, humans, minimal dwarves, gnomes, and other things of that nature. But the main population just being the elven race.
And do gnolls have a language that they speak?
I do believe they do. I'm trying to. It's really complicated. They speak Gnoll. Gnoll speak Gnoll.
But I can't really speak it.
If you gain that from like picking your favorite enemy, you also learn language from the choice. Yeah, so I mean, it's basically like a how I imagined it, anyways. Is like since they're like dog-like humans, more just like a series of barking at each other than anything else.
Nice.
But I've also seen some things where a lot of people kind of describe them as like hyenas, so like barking and laughing, which is kind of cool. But I mean,
Creepy.
everyone's got their own personality. Why should the gnolls be any different? I've even got gnolls in this world that are civilized and live in cities and other places in Elista.
So I'm also like I put in basic stuff on D&D Beyond. Are you gonna show us how to like transfer that to Roll20 during session 0 at some point?
So I'm like I said, I'm just waiting for the person to join it so we can have the access. And then that'll make it a lot easier.
Got it.
I'm gonna
Sorry, I'm
start
gonna
trying to call you like when you guys put it in. I'm gonna start trying to call you by your character names. So Varric, that way it kind of helps get stuck in the mind. Can you see your bio now? Oh, Jinko, 100 biddies. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Very nice of you, my friend.
My bad. Give me a sec.
No, bro. I tried to, like open it back up, and like I mean, it's all still there. So you might just have to like close it out and reopen it.
All right, I'll give that a shot because it's still not showing.
I mean, your bio's blank, for that page, but like all the other stuff that you had put in previously is there. If you're still having trouble with it, just let me know and we'll keep trying to figure it out. But I mean, from if I'm not mistaken, it kind of sounds like you guys at least have a decent idea of. I mean, it may not be 100% set in stone, but at least an idea of the class you guys want to play. And to be honest, I think that you guys have a pretty decent group. You definitely have the two key components, which is, in my opinion, a like tank and a healer, and you guys got plenty of DPS in other ways to kind of put it out. That's for sure.
If anything.
Yeah, that bio page is still not showing.
Is it just blank for you, or
Yeah, it's completely blank.
there you don't see like any boxes on there?
Nope.
No.
Like the character sheet and the attributes are showing up just fine, but bio and info, nothing is showing up at all.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. So what you're actually referring to is, like the front page, right?
Yes? Question mark?
Yeah. So like when you originally load up, there's just gonna be nothing there. So what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna click up in the top right, and it says edit. And then if you go to the bio and info, you'll be able to put stuff in the bio and info. But you don't have to worry about that necessarily. I thought you were talking about on your character sheet where it says core bio spells. I thought that's what you were referring to at first.
Ah, okay. My fault.
Nope, you're fine. I just misunderstood what you were talking about, which is what led to that more so confusion than anything else. But yeah, that's so like basically like when you kind of like come up with like your backstory. I mean, all of you obviously know how each of you will know each other, and things of that nature. But I would say like your backstory would just more so be from like your point of view of like how you are dealing with the family and things of that nature. Some of it may already kind of be known to each of your siblings. Some of it you may kind of hold back and not present in an open manner. So with those, when you kind of create them, you can send them to me, and I will stow them away for my information. But now that you all have a decent idea of what you're going to be doing, you all will also have like personal mentors, trainers, and things of that sense, which will be introduced to each of you in session 1. These are not people that you would have had like a previous history with. They will just be assigned to work with you once we kind of get more into game. But I will post the information when the time is necessary. And I'm trying to see if I missed anything that I need to go over. So, one of my people in chat had mentioned that there is a UA class that is for a ranger. Like they kind of reworked it. It's not in a book yet, but it kind of makes the ranger more viable versus the traditional sense. So if that's something that you guys kind of want to look over and review, I can send you the PDF I was just sent, but I will get that over to you a little bit later. So I gotta download it.
Yeah, I'd be into looking at it.
There you go. I posted it. Like I said, it would be a little bit later. It's not going to take too long, but I got it for you. So if you guys want to look over that, if there's something in particular that you may find interesting with like the Unearthed Arcana, that's what the UA means. And if you find like you like that one better, we'll play with that being your like ranger class versus the traditional. So we've gone over the distance. We've gone over like your family aspects. I will say I've left it open to the point where if you guys wanted to create like a family, a lot of people kind of foregoed that option. But if you wanted to create more to the family, like your mother, things like that, I leave that all up to each of you. I have the character set in that I want into the story, and then it develops from that point. As I said, the history in this world is all cumulative, and what you guys do has an impact. So if you guys write into your backstories that your mom's still alive, for an example, then your mom will be an NPC that you can interact with.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to let him use it, pistol. I'm evil.
But since we all would have the same mom, I guess not necessarily.
I
Have
mean,
the same father, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, think for an example. I was gonna say, save it for an example. One of you did decide that you wanted to be the half elf. Well, then obviously you're not gonna have the same mom. But I mean, if you guys wanted to say that your dad was a horn dog and slept around, I guess that's a possibility.
Hey, it happened. It happened so many times before.
And I guess just a basic question, like about the monarchy and like whatever rules in Zidane, like so it's like a sort of traditional. Uh, the heir is like the oldest male child, or just the oldest child, or like.
It's just the oldest. I'm not gonna force anything on that. Be mainly because like the elf lifestyle is like it like none of that shit really matters.
Mhm.
So there's really
Okay,
no
I was
point in
wondering.
doing that in there as well. That's just an unneeded aspect. Um, but for like an example, I will say this: like uh, Shot Dog's character on Saturday is from Glent's, and he knows that there's like a wood elf queen that runs Glent's. So that doesn't matter. You could if I'm gonna keep trying to remember your name, your character name, but if Varek wanted to be the next queen of Blight, that's his choice.
Mm.
It's not gonna skip over you because you pick a girl. You're not gonna get out of it that easy if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, nah, I'm gonna stick with being the dude. I'm good with it.
Shoot, I'm coming for. I'll be the next king. I don't care.
Uh,
Honestly, I promised myself just to like that I like wanted to see more sort of like female and like women characters and like queer characters. So like I just committed to myself to just be like a woman character always, which is like fine. But I just think it's interesting and fun. Um to like, it's like a fantasy world, so like why not mess around with all those expectations? Like we're elves for fuck's sake.
Right?
Mm.
I mean, I find that there's no reason not to, but a lot of people find it weird. I will say one of the things that like I had to kind of like get over. I mean, like I will go ahead and just say it now. It's not like we're gonna sit here and RP out some like bedroom stuff, but like if you wanted to flirt with a character, like I'm okay with RPing like flirting it back, but then it's gonna be like okay, cut to black, and then we're done. I'm just letting you know, like we're not getting that far into it.
Yeah, it's okay. I am terrible at flirting anyways, so it probably wouldn't go well.
Because again, like having a like character, if there's let's say like just in theory to give you guys an idea, like you guys make it through this whole campaign, nobody dies, things of that nature. Well, creating like a love interest or something is something you might be kind of into, because let's say you really liked the world and like you're kind of interested in what's going on in other like places, things of that nature. Well, eventually when we get into the future, you'll hear your family name and then find out that like you were the great great grandfather or grandmother of like this new like NPC that's like kind of risen to power and things of that nature. So creating businesses and things like that are more
Mm.
what's the word I'm looking for? More beneficial and like gives other cool things that can work off of it.
Yes, it enriches the story.
Right.
Now, you guys don't have to worry about
It's
making a
longevity.
business because you guys are royalty, so you're rich as fuck. So we're good with that.
Right. Oh, money.
so sorry, quick question on that point. So being royalty and having money, like we literally can just buy, like I guess the only limit is what our city or whatever city we're in has an inventory, right? Does that make sense?
So while in most cities you'll find it to be like a little bit different, but um, in Blight you guys virtually have an unlimited amount of resources. Like if you've gone through like a town and they're like, okay, like yeah, this thing like it costs, just for an example, like 100 gold. We'll sell it to you for this. I know that you're used to getting shit for free, but I kind of still need money, right? Like they need to survive too. So like if that's the case and you're like, oh crap, well let me just run back to my castle and go grab a couple of handfuls of gold, then you know that option's open. But you may also find things along the road.
But anything magic would be really limited, like, or non-existent, right? It's just, this is like mundane
Yeah,
stuff.
like a pretty much. Like I will say that like what's in these coffers, you're not gonna go down there and find like magic swords or bows or anything like that. Um, Potions will be at like a very limited supply, um, and with that in mind, as I kind of said with like the weapons, we'll go ahead and say like on an average, unless like you roll super high on like a D100 for the table, you guys would pretty much have your choice of like +2/+2 weapons.
Like starting out, we would.
Yeah, I mean you guys would have that
Oh, wow.
option.
Okay.
So again, one of the things I have to kind of like keep just as like a friendly reminder, uh, with Blight having like the like virtually like unlimited resources, the like you'll know everything that the city contains, and with that in mind, there are like schools of magic, uh, blacksmith families. The blacksmith family in Blight, one of the main ones that works for the royal family directly, are actually dwarves. Um, so with that in mind, um, Blight has a lot of resources. If you go to somewhere like the Stronghold, more than likely not even going to find a tavern there. It's just going to more so be like a kind of maybe like an outside bar, for an example. Nothing of luxury.
Gotcha. So if assuming I go the wizard class after quick dip and fighter, how does like spell scrolls and stuff work? I mean, are there some like common ones that are really easy to find, or um,
Um,
is that considered too magical and like those are a lot more rare?
what?
I only ask, that's kind of a main
Yeah.
function
And
of like finding and describing spells.
100%. Because that's like one of the things that makes wizards fun, right? Because that's how you're learning other spells that aren't necessarily like ones that you choose that might be kind of like beneficial here and there, whatever you decide to do. Maybe like you just copy it into your spell book and sell the scroll. I mean, who knows? But with that in mind, what I will just go ahead and let you know is that it's not something that would be offered in like the coffers, but I do have something with it. But I'd like to just get into more of that in like an RP standpoint. But with
Yeah, sure.
that in mind as well, like finding treasure hoards, for an example, I do like roll to like put in like scrolls and things of that nature. Um, but like you said, it's still going to be a little bit more rare. But I do make sure that I sprinkle those in, because then it kind of makes Wizard not fun to play if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay. No, that makes sense.
Um, but with that, I guess it's a good point to like just say this with that kind of question being brought up, with the way like it was kind of explained in the handout a little bit, but like you don't just like learn the spell and like you're good. It takes like a little bit of time, um, especially when like, just for an example, trying to cast it for the first time, uh, like mechanically, like you might roll like your spell attack at disadvantage the first time you use it, unless you've been like properly trained. But you guys
Gotcha.
will have plenty of downtime. Trust me, there's even been moments where I've run this campaign and the party is actually locked down in the same spot for 2 weeks because there's just blizzard and ice storms every day and they don't move. So you'll have plenty of time to do all that. Hopefully you don't get stuck in a cave like they did and you're in like a city. That makes it a little bit nicer. But I mean it happens, right?
Right. Do you play by the like the encumbrance rules?
No. I've tried to like
Okay.
mess around with like different things with that. I've wanted to put in like the variant where like you can carry like 75% of your stuff and like mess around with it, but it literally it's not like too much to like worry about because like these sheets online calculate the weight for you and they'll tell you if you're encumbered or not. But if you're playing with any of like the variant rules that change it from like the 15 times your strength score, I believe it is, then you can barely carry your starting equipment unless you have a good strength stat.
Right. Yeah. No, it's like it's real difficult. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Cool.
And trust me, on like my game I play on Wednesday, I have an Eldritch Knight that has like a negative spell casting modifier and not that great of strength. So like going into combat, and like when I was level 1, I would have to like put down my backpack so I could move. And then like pick it back up and
That
then go
sucks.
from there.
Yeah.
And I was a halfling, or well, not it was. I still am a halfling, so like my movement's already shortened anyways.
Oh yeah.
So if I was encumbered, it's like, all right, I moved 12 feet. Good luck, guys.
That's hard.
So, just so everyone's aware, I'm still waiting to hear from my buddy to like let me know. I know that he is working like late tonight, so I'm gonna expect it to be probably like tomorrow that he adds it to it. And then if there's any questions for like transferring stuff like over or copying any of that information, just feel free to reach out to me at any time. But what I will say is creating a character sheet on D&D Beyond is significantly easier than doing it on Roll20.
Right.
And when you have all those or not all of them, but that one extension that I recommended, like you'll basically just be doing everything from D&D Beyond except for like you'll use your journal to put your token on the map, and then that'll be kind of it.
Cool.
Okay, so if you all have your stats like at least kind of where you want them or where you want them at the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Give or
Something to work
take.
with.
Yeah, I feel good.
Okay, so if each of you haven't already done it from looking over like the high elf race, I do believe you get your extra like scores, your racial improvements. Yeah, +2 dex and +1 in intelligence. So if you have everything set where you want it to be and that's good to go, increase your overall dex score by 2 and your intelligence by 1.
Mm.
And those are your ability score improvements for your racial bonus.
And I guess a note on that if you're doing it on D&D Beyond, it's included if you already if you picked your class and your race.
Yeah, like it does it like a little bit different, but I wasn't sure like where you guys were filling it out, so I was just doing like the walkthrough for Roll20 because the D&D Beyond one, like you could have no idea what you're doing and figure it out quite easily.
Yeah.
It walks you through it so easily, and it's very user friendly in my opinion.
So if you use D&D Beyond, you just put exactly what you put there.
Yeah, like if you're using D&D Beyond, then you'll just put in like it'll it'll actually ask you like your race and your class and everything beforehand, but it'll take you through like a step-by-step process, and it's super easy. When you get to like the ability score part, just like hit in like edit manually. But again, if you have any other questions, you just let me know. But we normally do this about at the halfway point. With this being session 0, it's just a tad bit different. So what I am going to do is I am going to go ahead and do like a 5-minute break for us so everyone can kind of get up and stretch their legs, get another drink, whatever they need to do. And then we'll finish this up within like the next hour, at least the best we can, and go from there.
Sounds good. Be back at 10:11 Eastern.
Yeah.
It's about 10, we'll say like 10:15 at the latest, and by then everyone should be good. I'll be right back.
Aye, Captain.
Thanks again, Jingo, for the biddies, and we'll be right back. All right. Well, when we were taking a break, I was kind of mowing it over a little bit, and I don't really think that there's too much more to cover for the night. Character creation wise, if there's anything that you guys have questions for, we can take care of that right now, or we can kind of take care of it in like chat. It's just whatever you guys want to do with that aspect.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Okay. Well, if there's any questions while I'm going over the last couple things, then we'll answer those. And if not, then we'll just be done a bit early tonight. But one of the main things that we definitely need to go over is when our next game will be. Now, with the holidays and everything coming up, if anyone has plans, vacations, things of that nature, to where like starting in January would be a better idea, which is kind of what I had suggested anyways, with after everything's done, New Year's, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, looking at the calendar, I'm pretty much good. I mean, every Monday, like I'm pretty much working, so I mean during the day, so for the most.
Same here, honestly.
Yeah, I think the only day that's an issue for me is the Monday that's directly after Christmas.
Yeah,
Other
the
than that,
28th
I'm
is
fine.
going to be hard for me too.
Other than that,
Yeah.
I am fine.
Same.
What about you, Ant and Varek?
Yeah, I think Monday should be good. I'm in another campaign. Like my Waterdeep game is on Wednesdays, and I think we're almost done. My wife has told me I can't be in two games at the same time. So January would probably be best for me too. Like I think we'll almost be done by then. I'm still trying to convince her to let me. It's like it's just 2-3 hour games a week. I mean, no big deal, right?
Well, I'll ask you this: where are you at in
but,
Waterdeep? And I'll tell you about how long you'll have left. That way, I don't spoil anything, but I can give you a roundabout.
Well, we're level 4, and I think we're on the last part of the module.
Yeah, you're
where
pretty close
we're
to being
about
done.
to go to. Yeah, we did the piece. There was some other piece like sometimes you only get to level 4, but like we're on the track to get to level 5 by the end. But I think we're really close. Like I think it's a few sessions out. We had to keep canceling because of holidays though, so it's been we've been stuck. Like almost done.
Yeah, I understand. What about you, Mr. Vrick?
I'm pretty open whenever. I don't have any plans for holidays or anything like that. So whenever y'all ready to play.
Okay. So then what I'll say is we'll plan. Let's let's be a little bit positive here and say that your rest of your games won't get canceled, and if you finish it within the next couple sessions, we can play on the 21st, which will be 2 weeks away from now. If that doesn't happen, then our session 1, our full game, will at the earliest at that point be on January 4th. And we'll kind of just play it by ear, and we'll not like commit to a certain date. We already know that it's going to be on Mondays at a certain time, so I would say it's just pretty much.
Yep, that sounds good to me. If it's cool with you, I'd like to send you some stuff on like how or where I'm planning on going with the character, and you just kind of make sure it looks good.
Yeah, each of you can do that. Now if like I would love a backstory from each of you, because it kind of like helps me get more into like your character's personality instead of mine. But obviously with everything, like like, hey, don't write like too much or have too much in stone till I explain a lot, because then what I explained there might be some classes or some ways that you might be looking at things that like that character wouldn't necessarily work. So with the thought in mind of basically coming to the table with nothing but a prayer and a dream, if you guys do write up a backstory, it's not like it has to be a novel. You can send me like a nice paragraph or something, and I can work with that.
Cool.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Sounds great.
And
Yeah,
I
I
can
can work
probably
with that.
do a few weeks. I can probably do a few weeks where I have 2 games going on. It's just long term. If I tell her oh, it's almost done, then I think we'll be okay. But yeah,
Be okay.
We'll play it by ear. Let's not have a character death before the campaign starts, okay?
I mean,
It's gonna
yeah,
get grounded.
yeah. You leave him at the castle.
All right, so we'll keep it planned by ear, and I will just add it to the schedule down below in the Twitch info for anyone that's interested, and we'll go from there. So, again, if there's any questions, anything that we need to hash out, we at least got a couple weeks to go back and forth, figure out everything. It gives you everyone at least a decent idea of looking over some stuff. With that link I gave you, it should at least give you some like items and things like that that your character might want to use, and we can go from there.
Sounds good.
Awesome. I'm super excited.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one.
All right, well, now I'm going to put everyone on like a little bit of a spotlight, and everyone say bye as we close it out for tonight.
All at the same
Bye.
time. with one
Say it or you're negative level 3s.
Bye.
We all have to be
Bye.
in harmony. Good night.
Later.
Bye.
Have a good week, y'all.
Right. I'll take it easy.
Yeah. Bye.